What's up, everyone? Welcome back to what?
Daring accent.
Yeah, but you have to say it with the strong emphasis because
It's
our
daring
title.
accent.
There you go, much better. Welcome back to Daring Accents, and that's a podcast.
Do you have an accent?
I don't have an accent,
I
but
think you do.
she has an accent.
Everyone says you have an accent.
I don't have an accent.
Yeah, you
I don't have an accent.
do. Okay. Say water.
Water.
Say I went to the store and I grabbed some tomatoes.
I went to the store and I grabbed some tomato.
You have an accent.
I don't have
It's
an
a
accent.
sexy accent.
I don't have an accent.
You have an accent.
Okay. Anyway, today we're gonna talk about a very hot topic, like hot pocket.
No, just like
Wow, this is gonna be interesting. No, but our topic is called the social dilemma.
so. It's pretty much our take on the social dilemma. We both watched the documentary. We both spend a lot of time on social media for our businesses. So we decided why not talk about it today.
And for those who don't know what social dilemma is, it is a documentary that was recently released as of this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
believe
released
so.
this year, and it talks about how these big companies, social media companies specifically, how they are in a way controlling people, being us, and indirectly these big companies are using us as a product for a lot of things that they fucking do.
So I just wanted to add my take on it too, as a digital marketer, just a summary of what this documentary is trying to say. It's pretty much saying that all of these machines are built for free because the product that they're selling is you. So the more of you that they have, the more money they make because they have so much data. So their sole purpose is to make it as addictive as possible so you never get away from it. Because the more addictive it is, the more left out you feel, the more people are going to use it, the more money they're going to make. And I mean, in a way, that's not wrong. But
Yeah.
at the same time, what company isn't that? What company doesn't want you to be addicted to their products?
Of course, that's the goal of every company.
Right.
But I think the reason why we're here, we want to sort of put out an awareness about some of the things that people might not be aware, some of the damages it can cause. And I'm talking about mental health.
So we were talking about how social media impacts your mental health. Obviously, this is not a brand new topic that we're introducing. It's very hot online. But we wanted to kind of take it a little bit like a step further than just, it causes anxiety or it causes depression.
All these mental health
Right.
issues.
So I think that a big reason why it causes anxiety and depression and all of that is not because, it's social media. I think it's because it's human nature to compare, to want to feel valued. It's like your ego. Your ego is like, I want more attention, I want more attention, I want more attention. Social media gives you that. You get the likes, you get the comments, so you keep trying to feed into that. And same goes with comparing. So you see, let's say, a lot of better looking people on there, people that seem a lot happier than you. And part of you is like, well, I need to prove that I'm just as happy, so I need to do that in my own life. You know what I mean?
Right, and let's also, before we dive into how they manipulate the minds, and we have to take into consideration what's happening, how these social media websites are programmed. You know, they have specific algorithms, right?
Yes, the algorithms are addictive. Yes, it does impact you, but at the end of the day, there's always something else that could have done this to you. And at the end of the day, it's your responsibility as a human to grow to where you don't let that consume you. And so just going back to what you were saying with, what were you saying about
Addiction.
like how it's addicting and then how you can't get away from your phone. So like with that theory, before phones were introduced, before social media was introduced, there was other things that would make people be distracted, whether it's reading a newspaper, reading a magazine, reading a book. And a lot of people have this view that just because it's a book that looks like you're smarter, that it's better for you. There's a lot of books out there that spread very false knowledge. There's a lot of magazines that have very toxic advice. So in my mind, the only thing that social media adds to that is you seeing a lot more other people rather than just reading that book or reading that magazine. Like you seeing your childhood best friend, now he's married, he's like traveling the world or whatever, you know.
Yeah, but we also have to be careful not to label social media as a completely negative thing in our life. No, that's not what we're saying. I fucking hate this shit. It keeps repeating. So what we're saying is that social media or these big companies, they have created these systems where they have basically glue you to your phone or any other platforms you use. They glue you to that.
But that happens in, like, how many friends do you have that are like, I just binged this show, 9 seasons. You're binging on shows that are imaginary. At least social media is a lot more real, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
But the problem comes, I think this is the main problem. What it does is it can affect your culture. It can affect your ideas of religion. It can affect your core values as a family, as a person. So that's when you have to be careful and provide some sort of limitations to how much you use. Because if you get out of control and if you lose control of its usage, that's when it becomes problematic.
Mm-hmm.
If you can gain control over it, you're fine. But let me tell you how these big corporations are trying to take control over you. You know, we talked about the algorithm. It's like I think you were the one who talked about how they attach you to a point where like they make things easier. For instance, messaging. You know, you reply to someone you on Facebook, let's say, and what happens is while you're on Facebook, the other person instantly sees that reply and then they start typing to respond to you. So and then you start seeing their response being typed as you're on Facebook.
Yeah.
So it's like it makes it so hard to disengage. It's like you're attached. Now, that being said, let's talk about how these big corporations are using us as sort of a product and selling things to us, right?
So, yeah, like I know what you're saying, and this documentary, it really. So, a part of me when I watched it, I was just thinking, I'm logging off of social media. But then, a few days after, I started to realize, well, they're trying to sell this point so hard, but at the same time, their alternate solution to that is their own software that tracks how much time you spend on your phone and so on, which is great, you know. And so what these corporations do is, and that's a lot of tech companies these days, just so you know, like, it's not just social media, it's even like the coupon, it's even Venmo, it's even any kind of app on your phone that tracks anything you do in some way. They have data on you, and that's what makes them money.
Yeah, but I think we
and
should
like what I'm trying to explain what you were saying. So what these companies do is they pretty much say, okay, in 2020 we had 100,000 people who were very interested in working out from home, right? So they have all this data. When you, as an advertiser like me, which is that's what I do, you go in, you can literally target people on such specific data and characteristics. It's crazy. In a way, that can be dangerous because they have so much information and because you are literally the product. But also, on the plus side, I would rather have that than things that have nothing to do with me.
Yeah. And let's talk about this because we talked about this off camera. Its influence specifically on younger generation, teenagers.
Yeah,
know?
like, exactly. I think our generation, millennials, were probably the most ready for this. I think the two generation it affects the most is the very younger Gen Z, and I think the very older generation, like my mom and my dad. Like, people that are not so old that they can't use technology, but people that
Why
are
do you
just...
think it's affecting the more like the elders?
Because I think these are the people that I notice, like my mom and my dad, they are so addicted, they can't even like let it go. Because these people, they don't know that how much this stuff is affecting you. And I also feel like that generation, this is such a new thing for them.
And it's new, and also I feel like it's just so convenient for them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned reading magazines or newspapers in the past, but this is just like they can literally, if somebody's into news, they can go on so many different news platforms and then get their news. So I understand why there is more of a addiction, not necessarily addiction, why the elders are glued to social media as well. But I don't think that it's the elders that are being impacted as much as I think the younger generation is being
Here's
impacted.
what I think. So I think the elders are being impacted in what you said, the news. Anything they see online, they believe. Us, we've grown with this technology. We see a website, we're like, oh, this is definitely a lie.
Right.
They are kind of so out of touch that, like, they'll be like, oh, my neighbor shared this article online. It's such a good, like, I heard that there's poison inside chocolate, whatever, and
Right.
stuff like that. And that's what I think impacts political stuff. They fall into conspiracy theories very easy.
And I think you notice that the impact of social media on changing political views, you notice that it's become very significant this year, 2020, since we had the election going on. That's bad. That's bad. These conspiracy theories, you know, the only conspiracy theory that I knew prior to all these new ones that have emerged this year was 9/11. That was it.
Same, actually.
No, seriously.
Like 9/11 and JFK.
And now, fucking Facebook is just throwing all these conspiracy theories. People are absorbing it. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all these platforms, one way or another, they distort your thinking. They distort your political views. They distort your cultural views. They distort your cultural views. So,
and the reason that this documentary actually really dives deep into this, and that's actually where they think the danger in it lies, is in that. And the reason why it's so easy for that stuff to spread is just like I said, from a marketing perspective and business perspective, you know exactly what people are active, what people will buy workout clothes, what people are fat, what people will buy like diet pills, what people cook at home, what people, all of that stuff. So that same theory and that same science goes into getting people to believe conspiracy theories. They know people that maybe didn't have a proper education. And I'm not trying to throw shade or anything. It's scientific, it's data driven. People who haven't had a higher education, people who live not in the cities, like in the middle of nowhere, people who, drive a truck, for example, are more likely to fall into a certain conspiracy theory than another. The other day, last night, I saw this video, and it was a video of a nurse talking in a press conference, and she passes out. The title of this video said, "Nurse passes out after taking COVID vaccine." So I saw it, and I briefly was like, that's a lie, and I kept going. But then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna see more. I actually clicked on it, and I watched the whole video. In the video, she says, "My team is so excited to take the vaccine. We have full clearance to take the vaccine. I'm so excited to take it." So if you actually watch the video, she hasn't even taken it. But in the comments, there's people who are saying, yeah, if you watch the whole video, that never happened.
Right.
Other people are saying, yeah, you're not a scientist, you don't know anything. And that's how this kind of stuff spreads. Most people are too lazy to go in and do their research and see where this is coming from. They just see a headline and go for it.
And that's the danger, headlines alone will, to some degree, will distort your thinking. So here's our take, or here's something you can do to kind of combat your social media usage and lessen its influence on you. First thing is first. With these platforms, and then the algorithms that they have included in these platforms, it's like so easy. You get a notification. You're sleeping. You're in a peaceful sleep. You're snoozing, and all of a sudden, bling, you get a message. But it's very, very hard to ignore that message because you think, oh my God, you're gonna miss out. So
don't ignore my messages. That's all I gotta say.
Shit. I've been following everything Social Dilemma taught me, so everything has been off. It's like not everything, but what you can do is you can turn off. You can start out with turning off your notifications. At least some of those notifications that are like not important, like Facebook. Oh my God, like if you miss a happy birthday message, it's not the end of the world.
There's absolutely no reason for you to have any of your notifications on except for your texts and calls, in my opinion.
Right.
You check your social media a billion times a day. There's no need for something to drive you into it even more. Let's be honest. So that's, I think, is a great tip.
Right. And another one is simply uninstall some of your apps. You don't need 1,000 apps. Like literally, if you download a game nowadays, like a simple game on your phone, they fucking have notifications. It's like it's been over 24 hours or over 5 hours. Come on, Petty is waiting for you. Whoever the name is.
They're than a girlfriend, I swear.
It's like you're waiting. There's a package. You better deliver this shit. I'm like, what the fuck? What is this? Mm-hmm. But that's how it is. Like, so you can do that.
I also think, in addition to what you're saying, and this is like something I hear all the time, but honestly, it really, really helps. Like, who you follow and what you follow impacts. And I have 2 points on that. One is, don't just follow what you believe in. Let's say you're a liberal, follow some people on the other side. Don't be one of those people who just like unfollows anything that's against them. Yes, maybe sometimes it pisses you off, but it really helps you see the other side a little bit clearer. And I'm saying the same thing for the other side. If you constantly feed into your bias and look for more evidence for that, you're not really doing yourself a favor, and you're not doing society a favor. Right. So you want to understand all the sides, even if you disagree. And then the second thing is, like, what do you follow? Like, social media has so much information that could benefit you. So if you want to lose weight, follow healthy people. If you want to learn about technology, follow people in technology. If you don't have high self-confidence, don't follow a bunch of hot models and feel like shit about yourself every day. You know?
Yeah, and nowadays, you know, if you follow one person, these algorithms, again, they will start throwing thousands of other recommendations at you. So it's important to use the right search engine, right? You would know about this. You have to be able to eliminate certain search engines so you don't get those recommendations. You don't need 1,000, personal trainers or people who are fit on social media. You might need 1 or 2. That's it.
Yeah.
Or dietitians or nutritionists or whatever it might be. And then third thing, before I forget, I want to mention. What you want to do is you want to check your sources. You know, as you mentioned, headlines. They kind of divert you and can influence you one way or another. You want to not just glance at the headline and call it a day. I think what you should do is you should dive into it further, check different sources, and the ones the kind of sources that you were using previously that you trust. You want to kind of confirm that headline or that news with those sources. So,
exactly. Like, I think at the end of the day, you have to think with checking sources, put yourself in their perspective. They want more views. They want more people to read their article. They're not going to write a boring ass headline. They're not going to be like, we think this could work. They're going to say, you are going to die from this. Right. Because they want to scare you. They want to, like, a lot of marketing techniques are based on fear, love, hate. They're very emotion based. So that's really the psychology behind it. It's called clickbait. So when you see a headline or even a stupid meme, like, think about it more. Like, think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's definitely some countermeasures you can take to combat the influence of social media, and you should, you know, like, you don't need your damn phone in bed while you're about to go to sleep.
Great tip.
You know, I'm a victim of that shit.